This is the Geek Speak Show. Welcome to the Geek Speak Show. Interviews with the movers and shakers in geek culture.
Hey, this is Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn, and one of the original founders of Image Comics.
I'm Zach Whedon.
This is Mark Zickery, writer, producer, and director of Space Command.
Hi, this is George Ascenti.
I'm Ralph Bakshi.
Hi, I'm Chris Hardwick.
People who get it, get it.
God bless the geek.
They're listening. You're consuming. You're watching it with your ears. Oh, just listen.
The Geek Speak Show is powered by Collider.com, GeekTyrant.com, RamaScreen.com, and Mightyville.com. Get ready to speak geek on the Geek Speak Show. Here's your host, Henry. And the rest of the gang, too, Rachel included. Hey, gang.
Hey, howdy. What's up?
Hi. I was lonely last week. Where were you guys?
We were getting ready for the big
none of my business.
show coming up.
No, we actually were here. I mentioned it on the show. We were all cleaning our prize closet in our con schwags leftover closet, just junk that we have left over. It's not really junk because we're going to share it with you guys. We're going to show you we're going to give you the brand new stuff, the nice and shiny toys, like that Inception thing. It's here. One of you guys took it. You're not supposed to touch that thing. Some of you guys took that. The stuff from the Winchester Mystery House, posters like the 3D ones we have here from Prometheus. We have ours hanging up here on the wall. We don't need them. Sign up for the newsletter. Just go to our webpage where you're listening to the show right now. Scroll down a little. Big old picture of Yaya Ham. That's one of the things we'll give out to you if you're lucky enough, and if I pick you on the 28th. We're gonna do best of shows next week, 2 of them, because we gotta eat turkey, and then after that we gotta digest the turkey,
and then go shopping.
Yeah, it's nap time after that.
Yes, exactly. So, and on that show though, I am gonna announce who's gonna get one of the 2 autographed Yaya Han cosplay calendars and some of the other stuff that we have to give away. So short intro today. We usually talk about TV right now. I'm going to save that to the end. We got a couple of cool interviews with some cool authors. We also have, I talked about it a little bit. There's no way we can't not talk about it from capital T, capital A, the announcement right before, hours before Halloween. What do we call it now? Disney, Lucas, Disney?
No.
What is it called?
No. We're gonna stick with Lucasfilm, okay? Whoever owns them, no, it's still Lucasfilm.
Lucasfilm is gone officially. But everybody, hold on, because we're gonna talk about that in detail in just a minute. Because I'm really interested, especially with our resident Star Wars expert, what she has to say about it. I think we got a hint right now. But
yes, you are.
Everybody, hold on. Put your lightsabers in your hilt. We'll get them out later on. So, you ready to commentate on comics?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's have her do that. Then we'll come on back and talk that galaxy far, far away. Comics Commentary with Jae Gibbs on the Geek Speak Show.
Hey everybody, how you doing this week? My name is Jay, and we're here to talk about comics. Specifically, we are talking about Death of the Family, not A Death in the Family, which was a storyline in the mid-90s involving Jason Todd and Batman and all kinds of cool stuff going on. It led to a revolution in comics where people got to call in and say how much they hated characters, audience participation. This is nothing like that. This is all about the Joker returning to Gotham. He's a brand new man with a brand new face. Actually, it's his old face sewn onto his skull, basically. Very crudely, very Leatherface, but Leatherface meets the Joker. It is a terrifying tale of infinite woe and suspense, and it's one of my favorite things. If you had to get me something for Christmas, get me all of Death of the Family. Not going to give you any spoilers, but in the last couple of pages of Batman number 13 of DC's The New 52, there's a little 5-page short story that relates to the backstory of the rest of the issue. It made me weep. It's beautiful, it's scary, it's funny, it's the Joker in the best possible sense of how the Joker is meant to be. And please go out, buy it, read it, go to any brick and mortar store, check out Death of the Family. Scott Snyder is running all of this, and he's brilliant. He put together a really great story for y'all. If you like characters like the Joker, any incarnation of the Joker, whether you like him silly and funny or you like him just absolutely insane, off the wall, terrifying, this is the story for you. And it involves a lot of what's referred to as a Bat Family crossover. A lot of different Batman-related books go into it. You only need to read the actual Batman title, but all of the Death of the Family sort of issues and episodes have really cool collector's covers where the Joker's face is superimposed over whoever's book it is. So it's easy to find, easy to pick up, easy to collect, lots of fun. And it'll scare the pants off of you. That's it for Comics Commentary this week. My name is Jay. Please stay tuned for Mark Arnold with Stories Behind the Stories.
The Stories Behind the Stories with Mark Arnold, exclusively on the Geek Speak Show.
Hi, this is Mark Arnold at the Stories Behind the Stories, and with me today I have Stan Sakai, who has worked on various comic book projects over the years, including lettering for Sergio Aragones's Gru the Wanderer, but he's probably best known for his own comic book, Usagi Yojimbo, the epic saga of Miyamoto Usagi, a samurai rabbit living in late 16th and early 17th century Japan. That's a mouthful. So Stan, welcome to the show, and just wanted to know how you got your start in the comic book business and then to your own publication of Usagi.
Oh, okay. Well, hello, Mark.
Hi.
Anyway, I've been doing Usagi for, 28 years now. Or he's been published for 28 years. And I started because I grew up in Hawaii reading comic books and going to see Japanese samurai movies. And I wanted to create a series inspired by the life of a real-life samurai named Miyamoto Musashi. I drew a rabbit in my sketchbook one day with his ears tied up into a chonmage, a samurai topknot, and I loved the design, so instead of Miyamoto Musashi, my character became Miyamoto Usagi. And Usagi lives about the same time that the original Musashi lived, turn of the 17th century Japan. And he lives in an anthropomorphic world. It's all funny animals. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I moved up here to Los Angeles, and through the grapevine of artists, I had learned that a guy in Seattle wanted to do a comic book anthology, but was looking for material. So I sent him up a story. He published it, and the next story, the next issue featured Usagi, and that was in Albedo number 2, and that was published in 1984. And I've been working on Usagi pretty much ever since, except for this year where I'm taking a hiatus.
Oh, okay. Did you ever anticipate that you'd be producing it for so long, or was it just intended to be a short-lived series, or what was your intentions with it?
Well, it wasn't intended to be anything, except I was concentrating on the next story. I wasn't thinking of years, what am I doing years from now? I was thinking of what am I doing next month. And fortunately, Usagi's, been going for so long. It's my stories are published in more than a dozen languages, so it's kept me fairly busy.
We're talking with Stan Sakai here, and I just wanted to ask you a little more about Gru. I mean, I know Sergio well. I've met him many times. Did he ask you to work on his title as a letter, or is that just kind of happenstance to...
No, again, it's Stan Sakai.
Oh, Sakai. I keep saying it the wrong way. I do apologize.
Oh, no.
I thought I wrote it right.
It's funny how I first met Sergio. Like I said, I moved up from Hawaii, and I found his name in the phone book. So I wrote him a letter, and he gave me a call and said, "Hey, we had a mutual friend." So he said, "We have an organization called CAPS, Comic Arts Professional Society." He invited me to a meeting. I met him that night, and we've been good friends ever since.
You said that you're taking a break from Usagi. Is it just because you have other projects? You sound like you're pretty busy doing a lot of other things. What are you working on, and why the sabbatical at this point?
Well, the big project I'm working on now is doing the artwork for the 47 Ronin miniseries for Dark Horse. And the 47 Ronin is it's a real story. Well, it actually happened. It's a historical incident, and it's probably the best known, or one of the best known incidents in Japanese history. And it took place at the turn of 18th century, about 1701, in the next couple of years, in which Lord Asano of Akko Province was he basically was galled to draw his sword against Lord Kira in the shogun's palace in the castle, the Edo castle, and because of that, he was ordered to commit seppuku, which is ritualized disembowelment, and his lands were confiscated. All his retainers were left, basically ronin, masterless, and it took them a couple of years almost to get their revenge against Lord Kira. And it's a wonderful story. It's like it epitomizes Bushido, which is the code of chivalry that the samurai follow, where loyalty and honor above all things. And like I said, it's one of the most famous stories in Japanese history. And the last time I was in Japan, I made it a point to visit the Sengakuji Temple where they're all buried, and I got to see the well that they washed Kira's head in, and it was great. And this was before I was even approached by Mike Richardson to do the artwork for this.
Wow.
And another feather in our cap is that Kozue Koike, who created Lone Wolf and Cub, is acting as technical advisor for this. So it's pretty neat.
So when should we expect to see that?
Well, it first comes out as comic book issues. I think it begins in November 2012, and then in 2013 sometime it should be collected into a trade paperback.
Okay. Is it potentially going to be an ongoing series, or is it just a graphic novel?
It's a miniseries.
Okay.
It's a miniseries, and it'll be 5 issues long, and unless we go further, I mean, right now the story is getting very, very exciting, so it's kind of neat. So we may actually have to extend it a bit. Actually, we have extended it a bit.
Yeah.
Mike Richardson is also the writer, and he's been wanting to do this project for about 20 years. And, I would send him the artwork, and then he'd go back and, we have to put in 3 more pages, and he kept adding things, and I just sent him the second issue, and he said, we need 2 more pages here. So it's a nice situation to be in, because if you're the writer as well as the publisher, you can do that.
Right. Because it sounds like a big monumental project, and so I was like, wow, is it really just going to be a miniseries? So
yeah, well, it's like I said, it's a pivotal point in Japanese history, and when Mike approached me with this project, I said, I've known about the story since I was a kid, and I've got books on it, and I told him, I've got 8 DVDs on movies about the 47 Ronin, and he said, I've got 13. So it's been done a lot. I mean, just besides movies, TV series, it's a famous kabuki play, and it's been novelized so many times.
And again, Stan, I want to thank you for being on the show, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Stan. Bye.
Okay, bye.
You can hear the complete story behind the stories by going to funideas.50webs.com. That's 50webs.com. funideas.50webs.com. The stories behind the stories, exclusively on the Geek Speak Show. Hey, Gam, what's going on? Sign up for the Geek Speak Show newsletter. It's coming in 2013. You can get all the info on upcoming guests and special events. You can be the first to learn about show giveaways and other exclusive content for subscribers only. Sign up right now. You can win one of 2 Yaya Han 2013 cosplay calendars autographed by Yaya Han. Yeah, you heard me. Autographed by Yaya Han. There will be 2 random winners picked and announced on the November 28th show. Or you can win some of our extra swag that we have, like Avengers posters, the Amazing Spider-Man posters, we got the Prometheus 3D posters, and the Wayland Industries Company ID card. Those are pretty cool. Plus some other things that we have. We're cleaning out our prize closet, so you reap the rewards, but only if you sign up for the Geek Speak Show newsletter. And you can do that on our homepage at thegeekspeakshow.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Hardwick. You are watching and or listening to Geek Speak Show. They're listening. You're consuming. You're watching it with your ears. Oh, you just listen.
Yeah, just listen. Okay, so
Yeah.
you ready? Everybody ready? Rachel, you ready?
I'm distracted by the hot jams playing in the background.
There. Now,
All right.
from now, Rachel, you ready?
Yes.
We like
Okay, let's do it
Very
then.
ready.
This is my jam.
The Joel remix. So, a little bit of news about Star Wars came out, like I said, hours before we went trick-or-treating, and that's all it was. Honestly, that Halloween wasn't the same for me this year because of that. I said my piece last week. I'll say it again for those of you who missed it. See why you should listen every week. But I'll save my piece till the end. Let's start with the one I really wanted to hear about. No, Rachel, go ahead. Start first. What do you have to say?
Okay, so like most other fans, initially I was very upset about this because it's a lot like sending your kid off to college. No matter how good of a college you pick, right, you still don't want to let them go out from underneath your own protection. So the fact that anyone would take over Lucasfilm is just gut-wrenching. And, worried a little bit, of course, because Disney, people associate Disney with, traditional animated films, with family-friendly kiddie stuff, and so it's a little concerning. But then you look at what they have done with something like Marvel, and we've all talked about it all year on how Avengers was the best movie.
$1.5 billion.
Yeah,
billion with a B.
It was the best it could have possibly been. So then that gives me hope that they can continue on with the integrity and do something just as amazing.
Rachel,
but then again,
Rachel, would you say it gives you a new hope?
I don't know.
I knew that was coming.
Oh yeah, because the movie's called A New Hope.
See, there's not a joke cheap enough or low enough for me.
So, but however, I did realize that being under such a big company as Disney would make it possibly a little bit easier for those of us that would love to be working on such movies to be involved in some way.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Wink, wink.
So, yeah, exactly.
Now,
so I'm excited that there's new movies coming out, and excited that obviously the merchandise and everything is going to probably blow up. But it's got to maintain that Star Wars feel and the integrity. Otherwise, there's going to be a whole lot of angry fans.
Well, Rachel, you're a big fan of the Clone Wars, right?
I am.
Were Disney already involved with production of that? Or is that all under the Lucasfilm?
No, that was Warner Brothers.
That was Warner Brothers. Okay. Yeah. So what happens to Clone Wars from here on out, since Warner Brothers is the competition?
Yeah, they haven't released anything official.
There's this channel called Disney XD that it can go to.
I like that channel. I like to watch reruns of Kim Possible.
And seriously, I mean, that's one of the many questions that comes up. Not only that, I mentioned also in last week's show, when I did your commentary, Dark Horse has had the license, the Star Wars license this whole time. What's going to happen with that?
Dark Horse has given an official statement about that. They said that they're going to continue to publish despite...
For now, basically what they were saying.
For now, yeah.
Buy them out, boys.
But, I mean, and, the
just
obvious is...
throw some money at it.
We just mentioned it right now. Disney owns Marvel Comics.
Once
it can easily go there.
Yeah.
But, Rachel, have you read any of the Dark Horse comics over the years?
I have, yeah. I have a few of them. And... I mean, Dark Horse has always been Star Wars comics, like they go together. So that's another thing that is going to be really difficult for a lot of people to handle, is if they take apart a partnership.
Dark Wars.
Yeah, and let me address some of the things that Rachel said. First of all, Disney owns Lucasfilm. The company doesn't mean just Star Wars. They own everything that's going to come out of Lucasfilm, including LucasArts, the video games, all that stuff.
And
they own
Light and Magic
and Skywalker Sound. They own all that. Which to them, I see it as a business move, very smart business move, because Disney does some great movies, especially with the Marvel and the Pixar movies, but now they don't have to pay ILM to do the FX for them. Because it is them. I said it last week. I'll say it again for those of you who missed it. I mentioned before, even before any of you guys that are doing the show now, from the year, what was it, 2010, 29, whenever the first year that I started doing the Geek Speak show.
3000 BC.
I've always said, when the credits rolled up on episode 3, that was it. Star Wars was done for me. I don't care, books, Clone Wars, any of that stuff. That's not Star Wars. The magic that was episode A New Hope and all those, that went away. Hell, that went away with episode 1, quite honestly. And what came after that.
Pod racing?
Because that one, George Lucas has concentrated too much on the special effects, and he forgot why we liked the original ones. I saw some postings, and I think Rachel kind of mentioned it. This is the new Star Wars. I don't like the old man, my grandfather's Star Wars, where you could see the strings and the X-wing. We didn't care about that. We were so busy caring about Han, Luke, Yoda, everybody that we didn't notice that you could see the at through the snow speeder or the strings or any of that stuff.
Well, and to that same point, that the magic that there was in 4, 5, and 6, the initial idea that George had for a 7, 8, and 9 was to continue on and make it about the philosophy and the wisdom and everything that there is in the Force and the Jedi versus Sith and all of that. So if we're talking about actually going with some of his original thoughts on that and using to the announcement that they're going to be using Han, Luke, and Leia and original characters as they're an older form, then that would be cool, because maybe some of that magic will be in there if they're going to be talking about philosophy and everything like that. But I don't know. If they're going to use the same characters, they got to use the same actors.
7, 8, 9 is just the one big philosophy class. It's just a lecture. It's like, oh.
Hey, I'm excited for that. That's something I love about Star Wars. But
I'd love to have a lecture from Han Solo, little Pimpin' 101.
Yeah, and I gotta say also this. I'm with Rachel now. Again, we're on the same team once again. You're still Jedi. I'm Sith, but still, I'm back on board.
We both use the Force. It's okay.
Exactly.
I felt like
you Force choking me right now?
I felt like a 4-year-old. Not only because it was hours before Halloween, but I felt like a 4-year-old because I had that same excitement when I was lining up at the Coronet Theater, which is long gone, to watch this Star Wars movie. Same thing when I lined up for Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, even the prequels, and yeah, I went to special distance too. But I knew it was going to happen. It wasn't anything
story-wise though. Like, what do you think? Like, it would be about?
No, what I'm saying, for my generation, this is the announcement we were waiting since 1985. Really.
Oh.
Now that it's here,
to finally have the sequel.
Honestly, I can say I don't really care who's directing, who's writing, who's not directing, who's acting. If it's old Mark Hamill, because they're all in their 60s now, I don't care. I just want to see more Star Wars. I just want to be sitting there with you guys now, with Rachel in the theater when the lights go down and you get the boom, and then the theater goes crazy and Star Wars is back.
And everybody's in costume and yeah, I agree. It's very exciting, sweat. But
yeah, now
the floors are sticky.
Once that announcement came, we've all had our reactions to it and all that. The rumors started right away. And I said last week also, just like, when episode 1 started, there's going to be rumors all over the place and, I have a source. Nobody has any sources because literally 24 hours, even an hour before the announcement was made, Star Wars was forgotten.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
It's kind of like, with Michael Jackson. Yeah, Michael Jackson, he touched little kids as soon as he died. Oh, I love Michael. He was the greatest thing ever. Same thing here. Here are some facts before you guys get all confused with what's going on. Fact number 1, there is a writer. It is written for episode 7. It's Michael Arndt. He wrote Toy Story 3. There's a Disney connection there already. So it is him.
I like him.
They haven't given word whether he wrote 8 and 9 also, or just going to do a treatment for them. But for sure, he wrote 7. The directors, Rachel and I, we talked on the phone. We didn't do the show that we talked on the phone about it because there was no way we could not talk about Storm and everything. No power, but she had power enough to talk about Star Wars, of course.
Yeah.
She had force.
We both agreed if it says produced by Kathleen Kennedy, which it will be, directed by Steven Spielberg, we're there. Steven Spielberg and JJ gracefully bowed out shortly after the announcement. Quentin Tarantino not so gracefully bowed out. Zack Snyder bowed out also. He said, "No, you just can't do it."
It's a risky move.
It is.
Our friend of the show, you guys remember the story from WonderCon, those of you who are the regular listeners. Favreau, he didn't take him so far. He didn't say no. He didn't say yes. It's just, I don't know. We'll wait and see. Guillermo del Toro would love to do, but he's got so many things going on, Pacific Rim and all the things that are coming. There's another guy, Colin Trevorrow.
I like him.
What did he do? What has he done?
Oh, no. My mind just went blank. I should have made notes on this.
Okay, exactly. So,
Ghost Dad.
No. He's a young guy. He hasn't done a lot. But
like I said, Kathleen Kennedy has been picked handpicked by George Lucas to be George Lucas. She's going to be in charge of Disney Lucas or whatever it's going to be called now. She's going to be producing the Star Wars films because there's no... was it Rick McCallum? He retired. What is it, Jay?
I remember what Trevorrow did.
What?
I believe he directed John Carter, which was one of the inspirations.
Carter!
The original novels and graphic novels were the inspirations for a lot of the visuals in Star Wars, in Superman, in things that are geek culture now. It was just written a really, really long time ago. and the writers didn't necessarily do a great job of updating it and making it make sense to a modern audience.
Kathleen did say that the person that they are going to choose has to have a very strong love for Star Wars, and it has to have influenced their decision to be where they are in their life today.
So it's Kevin Smith then.
That's good. No, I don't know about that, but yeah. So it has to be somebody that is going to be concerned with integrity, which I'm really glad that she stated that, because that's what we need. But yeah,
a couple nights ago, actually. Now they had the Twilight. I guess it's the last one, the last movie Twilight. They had the premiere for that.
Yes.
Frank Marshall
Never
was
heard
there.
of it.
He produced that. His wife happens to be one Kathleen Kennedy. And they asked him if they were there for Twilight, but how can you not talk Star Wars? So they asked him, do you know what's happening with Star Wars? He said, yeah, I do know, but if I tell you, I'm not going to be alive tomorrow. But he did drop some hints. He said that he knows that it has been narrowed down to 2 directors. He didn't say who. He won't say who. He doesn't know when they want to make the announcement. Kathleen Kennedy and George Lucas did a video interview. I didn't play that last week. I was going to play it today, but I said, we'll just talk about it. Kathleen Kennedy mentioned that it's going to be someone that she's worked with before.
Correct.
Jack Daniels.
Steven's already out. Here's a list in case you're wondering who she's worked with before. See if you guys like any of these and say, ooh.
Okay, shoot me.
Martin Scorsese.
I'm not right for Star Wars.
Robert Zemeckis.
Star Wars.
Oh.
Barry Levinson.
It's a good, yeah.
No.
Get off my lawn. And Clint Eastwood.
Ooh, man, Clint Eastwood. He wouldn't do a good job.
Clint Eastwood with the older cast, though, and we're talking
The
about
force be with you. Now get off my lawn.
That might be interesting.
That would be really cool, because, I mean,
Jedi friends.
Han is kind of a Clint Eastwood guy in the first place.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, I'll see you in hell, and we're just like, how does that fit in
And
with the
he did
philosophy
shoot
of the
first.
Force?
Make my day.
True.
Zoom.
But the name that's been circling around, and he did give a comment, and it's not a yes or a no, is Joe Johnston. You guys know him now as the director of Captain America, the first Avenger.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
But he did one of the Jurassic Parks. He also worked on The Rocketeer and some other movies with Kathleen Kennedy. He's the one that's been really circled. I also saw it there as soon as the announcement came out. People started talking about Christopher Nolan, and Nolan I trust, but no, he's got great vision, but not for what 7, 8, 9 needs.
Oh, hell no.
Too dark, too complicated, too much.
Like I said, he took himself out gracefully, but I would have gone with JJ. I really would have, because the JJ, Damon, all of them, they've done Lost and everything that they've done because they're Star Wars kids. John Favreau, because like me, we're Star Wars
JJ
kids.
is doing Star Trek
Exactly.
reboot already.
He'll never admit that, but he personally, when that announcement came, like me, we were all excited, jumping out, and he was saying, "No, why didn't I wait? I should have just waited a few more years."
He sealed his grave with Star Trek.
But he's doing a good job with Star Trek. I mean, and I've said before, I'm a huge fan of both. I know the same way I know that both the Millennium Falcon right there is a YT-1300. I know about the nasals, warp nasals, and everything else in Star Trek. So I'm a fan of both. Huge fan of both. I don't pick one over the other. There
is one name we didn't mention though, Henry.
What?
Joel Japatana.
Whedon.
Yeah, we didn't mention that for a reason. What name?
Whedon, she said.
Yeah, I actually have thought of him too, but honestly, he just can't do it. It's impossible for him to do, because
Avengers,
7 is coming out
Avengers,
2015,
yeah.
so is Avengers 2. Plus Disney has them already to do that, to do their tentpole. Because Iron Man 3 next year and Thor 2 next year, they kick off phase 2 for the Marvel movie universe,
right?
Which will, like this one, end up with Avengers 2. And again, also like I said earlier, good business decision. If it had stayed with 20th Century Fox, who would have won that year, Avengers 2 or Episode 7? Now for Disney, it's a win-win.
Absolutely. And for fans, I believe it's a win-win, because 2015 is going to be the best year for movie-going geeks since this year. Because this year we had
You're going to hold fast to the Justice League movies coming in, aren't you?
I'm geeking out.
And you know what? Business decision, either way, they have become the ultimate power in the universe. So you're right. They're going to win no matter what.
False.
Yeah, so
I think we as the audience wins no matter what. I'm really excited about all of this. This is all good news.
You're breaking the fourth wall.
So let's geek out about this for a bit, since this is the Geek Speak show, not the Star Wars Geek Speak show, but it might as well be. But Rachel, you can obviously do that. What do you want to see? What do you hope to see in story-wise in 7, 8, and well, let's start with just 7. What do you guys want to see?
Young Jedi, new academy. I want to see Luke with the one hand being all grizzled and old and amazing, and
the one hand,
and teaching the kids, teaching Han and Leia's twins. Like that's what I want to see.
So, see, that's another question: is how far should it skip in time?
Right, exact same amount
20
of time.
years?
Has to be like has to be a fair amount since like the actors are so old now, aren't they?
Yeah, you kind of.
3 years have passed.
I'm a little worried about Carrie Fisher.
What?
What?
Well, and we don't want them to take something that's already been written to death about in the books either. We need to have something where, it ties
new.
into the universe, but it still can be a new story or a new set.
Something new, something blue, something borrowed.
We can use the same characters and not use the same old tired plot lines.
Exactly what I'm saying. Yep.
I mean, although honestly, wouldn't you want to see Grand Admiral Thrawn on the big screen, though?
I don't know enough about Thrawn.
Yeah. I mean, we
The
would, but that's dangerous ground too.
And also, this was my pick from last week from the book club because of all this Star Wars talk. The Yu Zong-Vong. I'd like to see that villain, that enemy, instead of just the regular Sith and Force powers, because you can't read them. Neither Sith nor Jedi nor anybody. You can't read them in the Force. You know how Yoda always says, "There's disturbance in the Force." Haven't done that in a while.
Where'd Yoda come from?
But I'd like to see that, just something new rather than just the same old. Cause that's the other thing is also if you're gonna have a Sith, where were they this whole time? Why didn't they go and help Maul and Palpatine and everybody?
We were hiding. Yes.
Yeah, we could go into that forever, but it's been written about, so that's the only problem. We got to make sure we don't do what
pod
the Clone
racing
Wars
scenes.
has done, and I love Clone Wars, so don't get me wrong, but if you go to Wikipedia and you look something up, it'll have the explanation of what it is and everything. And then at the bottom it says, except for in the Clone Wars, they said it was this instead. So now there's two answers. We can't have that.
Well, isn't the Clone Wars considered canon already? And so is the EU, for that matter. I mean, I think George Lucas made that announcement around episode 2, around that time.
To a limited extent, the EU is considered canon. Like, he kind of picks and chooses what he lets into the canon.
See, I have another question, Rachel, for more than anybody. This is more of a filmmaker question. 2015, is that too soon?
You know what? I felt that it was when they said that. I was like, oh my God, they'd have to start immediately, which, obviously they had plans to. But I think that them wanting to put it out in 2015 is going to have it where they look over or don't get people that they would have wanted otherwise. And I think that's going to be a mistake.
See, like I always say, in Nolan I trust. In Lucasfilm I trust. And we all say, yeah, I've got friends. I actually do have friends who work at ILM, but there must have been some meetings. You don't just start throwing darts at the wall. Let's see what sticks, and hey, let's do episode 7. They must have been planning this from a long time. Matter of fact, Mark Hamill revealed he called him and Carrie Fisher to the ranch. They came here. And he told them, "Hey, we're doing 7, 8, 9." And Mark Hamill spit out his teeth and
I'm down.
You crazy? What?
I'm so down.
So obviously it's been in the planning stages for a while. They just haven't said anything. And now the quote unquote the weird interviews from George Lucas kind of make sense now. He's not that weird anymore. Where he was saying, "Well, I'm going to retire and I'm going to make movies that I want to make, and I'll make them in my garage." And everybody said, "Oh, good riddance, go, George. We're glad you're gone. You ruined Star Wars or whatever." He was already planning that, and he mentioned in some of those interviews, "Why should I do a new Star Wars if you guys are just going to make fun of me and hate everything anyway?" So he went and planned it without us, without anything. It's coming.
Good for him.
And there's hints that they were planning, so you're right. And the concern, I think, doesn't come from George. I think it comes from the fact that Disney is going to be, the head of whatever. But if he's creative lead and if Kathleen is producing and, they're going to let them do what they do best, then it'll be good.
Yeah, we're going to get more details as the year 2015 gets closer. But the way I see it right now is Disney's just going to handle the distributing, kind of like what they did with Avengers. Marvel, it was all Kevin Feige. It wasn't Bob Iger, from the CEO from Disney, leading, hand-picking fabric. It was Kevin Feige. And Kevin Feige for Lucasfilm is Kathleen Kennedy, and she's been there. She knows George. That's why he handpicked her. Yep. So honestly, I'm not scared. As a matter of fact, like I said, I'm not kidding. I'm with Rachel. My enthusiasm for Star Wars been relit again. Had to dust off the
is that a lightsaber?
My
in your
father's
pocket, or
old
you have his
lightsaber. I'm just happy to see you. That's what it is.
So at the same time, the next celebration, 7.
It's going to be even bigger.
Oh my God, it's going to be ridiculous. You guys have to go.
It's going to be huge.
Just for your personal protection, we're going to have to go with you. We're just going to have to form like a stormtrooper academy around you.
We'll get some 5-0 first, guys. It'll be okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, we didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, but this is going to be the last new 2012 show. We'll be back on December 1st, and we'll do the big award show. I don't even know why we should do it, honestly, because Avengers should just get everything now.
No, there's too many other great things that happened this year in
we'll
geek
see.
culture.
If you're
Abraham Lincoln.
if you're on there with, I was going to say Men in Black, but okay. If you're on with Jay, no, it's not just the Avengers. Then tune in December 1st. Well, not tune in, but log on to our website.
We're going to put
out.
Joel in a beautiful gown so he can present everything.
I already pre-bought everything.
Yes.
You're going to watch it just for that.
Yeah, and Rachel will do his makeup.
Yep,
Nice.
I got this.
Cool. And after that, we'll call her the Miracle Worker. But we're going to do that on December 1st. It's going to be the award show. And it's not just movies. It'll be movies. It'll be comic books. We won't do books because there's just so many and we can't pick just one, so we have the book club. But it'll be December 1st. It'll be up for the whole month, so you guys can agree, disagree, fight amongst yourselves, fight at the Christmas family dinners and throw turkeys and whatever at each other. Avengers should have got... No, I told you. Resident Evil should have... So that'll be on December 1st. It will be back also in early January. We're going to take a break and get our presents and all that stuff. We get new lightsabers, get all that stuff. But it is going to still be the Geek Speak show, but Rachel's going to like this. We're going to talk more Star Wars, obviously. There's no way for the next 3 years we can't not talk Star Wars.
And yes, I had something to do with that. You are all welcome.
Yes.
Star
the Force is strong with this one. So stay right there.
The Geek Speak Show will be right back. Sign up for the Geek Speak Show newsletter, coming in 2013. Get info on upcoming guests and special events. Be the first to learn about show giveaways and other exclusive content. Sign up now and win one of 2 Yaya Han 2013 cosplay calendars autographed by Yaya Han. 2 random winners will be picked and announced on November 28th. Or you can win some extra swag. The Avengers posters, the Amazing Spider-Man poster, Prometheus 3D poster, and Wayland Industries company ID cards, souvenirs from the Winchester Mystery House, and more. Sign up now on the homepage at thegeekspeakshow.com. Geek Movie Rewind. Movie Rewind. The movies that made you a geek. Except for the part where you didn't see them. Here's the Geek Speak Show's resident movie geek, Louise Cray.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek Speak Movie Rewind. It's the holiday season, and as this is my last movie rewind of the year, I thought I'd leave you with one of my favorite, tangentially Christmas-related films, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. This dark comedy was released back in 2005 and is definitely one of those films that I'm always telling people to watch. In fact, the first time I watched it, I rewatched it immediately. I'd rented it, and I loved it, so I called up a friend, asked her what she was doing right then, and invited her to come over and watch it with me. It really is that kind of film. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang stars Robert Downey Jr., one of my favorite people on this wide earth, side note, as petty criminal and self-aware narrator Harry Lockhart. Through a combination of luck, mishap, and misunderstanding, Harry finds himself flown to Los Angeles to be courted by the Hollywood machine and becomes entangled in a mystery. I almost don't want to give anything away about the plot of this movie because watching it for the first time knowing nothing was such an enjoyable experience for me, but just know it is a sardonic meta take on the classic hard-boiled gumshoe type story, Travis McGee, Sam Spade, and such like. It's also, I'd say, one of the funniest films of the last decade. It's got great action, it's paced well, there's not a single moment that drags, honestly. It's also got one of those very fulfilling interconnected storylines that benefits from multiple viewings. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was the directorial debut of Shane Black, by the way, who has taken the helm from Jon Favreau and is directing and writing Iron Man 3. Based on the first trailer we'd seen, I would ordinarily be a little worried that the Iron Man franchise would suffer from the dreaded third movie syndrome and suck horribly. I mean, X-Men 3, Spider-Man 3, Godfather 3. But because I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang so much, I'm holding out hope and keeping the faith. Downey plays Harry, all misplaced bravado mixed with ineptitude, which is marvelous and sort of right in his actorly wheelhouse. Co-starring with him, Michelle Monaghan, who later played his wife in the very boring and unfunny Due Date, which I watched all the way through, regardless, because watching Robert Downey Jr. look angry at stuff for 2 hours was still worth the pain. Also, Val Kilmer in one of his best roles as a long-suffering private detective. I wish there was a sequel to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, just so I could watch another 2 hours of watching Kilmer and Downey take turns being each other's comedic foils. It's gold. This movie is also the last time I can remember seeing Shannon Sossaman in anything, which is sad because she's pretty and I like her. Said it's a Christmas movie. It does take place at Christmas time, but not in a Miracle on 34th Street kind of way. What it's got is this great running theme of soulless, sexy performance art Christmas running through it. Sort of like the absurd gallery showing in Love Actually. It's very spot on. The person who wrote this film knows these sorts of people. Oh, and while we're on the subject of Love Actually, no joke or irony at all, I love that movie. I don't even dig on romantic comedies in general, but I adore Love Actually. In fact, my favorite movies to watch during the holidays, now, setting aside any Charlie Brown Christmas or Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, which are given, so... What, you didn't watch Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol? But no, my favorite Christmas movies are Love Actually and Bad Santa, and if you haven't seen Billy Bob Thornton's turn as a department store Santa / safecracker who has lost all hope, you must. It's got the mom from Gilmore Girls in it. These films are basically at polar opposite ends of the spectrum, heart and cynicism-wise, but for various and sundry reasons, I love them both. And hey, I don't know how your winters usually go, but I tend to need both a saccharine British ensemble rom-com and a raunchy comedy in incredibly poor taste to power through the full range of my holiday moods. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang falls somewhere in the middle. It's not as relentlessly cynical as Bad Santa. It's got some heart, but it's definitely not a warm and fuzzy romp for families of all ages to enjoy. There are scenes and situations in this movie that are just wrong, dark, and not right. I wouldn't want to sit and watch it with my family. Maybe your family. But such is the price we pay for great comedy. So that's your assignment over the break, my friends. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Check it out. Oh, there was a film released in 2000 with the same name, strangely enough starring Paul Bettany, the voice of Tony Stark's AI buddy Jarvis, but don't watch that one. I mean, watch it if you like, but that's not the one I mean, and I can't vouch for it. It might suck. What do you guys like to watch around Christmas, or Hanukkah, or the solstice, or non-denominational December time? Shoot me a note at Louise@thegeekspeakshow.com, just to say hello even. We're all friends here. And until we meet again, may the rest of your 2012 be at the very least mildly tolerable, and may you and yours have a very happy new year.
That's the Geek Movie Rewind. Agree? Disagree? Send your comments or suggestions to Louise at thegeekspeakshow.com. Hey, gang, what's going on? Sign up for the Geek Speak Show newsletter. It's coming in 2013. You can get all the info on upcoming guests and special events. You can be the first to learn about show giveaways and other exclusive content for subscribers only. Sign up right now. You can win one of 2 Yaya Han 2013 cosplay calendars autographed by Yaya Han. Yeah, you heard me. Autographed by Yaya Han. There will be 2 random winners picked and announced on the November 28th show. Or you can win some of our extra swag that we have, like Avengers posters, the Amazing Spider-Man posters, we got the Prometheus 3D posters, and the Wayland Industries Company ID card. Those are pretty cool. Plus some other things that we have. We're cleaning out our prize closet, so you reap the rewards, but only if you sign up for the Geek Speak Show newsletter. And you can do that on our homepage at thegeekspeakshow.com. It's time for the Geek Speak Show Book Club. Our books or graphic novels. Tell us what your favorites are. Books at thegeekspeakshow.com. It is time for the book club, and for the last book club of 2012, I'm going to pick 2 books just because I can. It's my show. I can do that kind of stuff. So my 2 books are, it's actually a series. It's a graphic novel adventure series. Pretty cool one, too. I actually found it a couple of years ago now, I think it was, or last year. Can't remember when it was, but it was at APE here in San Francisco, the Alternative Press Expo. It is by Alexis Fajardo. It is called Kid Beowulf. It's, like I said, 2 books. The first one is Kid Beowulf and the Bloodbound Oath. Book 2, Kid Beowulf and the Song of Roland. Just finished reading both of them. We'll talk about that and a lot of other things because Alexis happens to be on the phone with me now. Hey, Alexis, welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, let me say thanks also, by the way. Thanks for sending me the books. Like I said, I read them a couple of times now. My son read them with me. He really, really loved them. So great job on that.
Oh, that's great. How old is your son?
He's 9.
Oh, that is the perfect age for these.
Yeah. And like I said, we're all, I've mentioned this before. I've mentioned your books before. We're all familiar with the Beowulf story, even if it's just the movie that came out a few years ago. How did you come up with the idea for Kid Beowulf?
Yeah, well, as since I'm on Geek Speak Radio, I will formally announce that I am a geek. And one of my forms of geekdom is not only comics, but I just love ancient mythology and epics and that whole series of great sagas. And so as a kid, I just read voraciously, whether it was Greek mythology or Norse mythology or what have you. And that sort of led into these epics, these old epic poetry and whatnot. And I remember in high school, I think they force us to read Beowulf at one point or another. And for me, it was in high school, and it was the first one I ever read in epic poetry form. It wasn't a novelization. It wasn't a really bad movie version. It was just sort of like the straight poetry. And it just, it spoke to me. It's a story about monsters and monster slayers and mead and wenches and dragons. And so it just made an impression on me. And years later, when I was developing a comic book story, I kind of came back to Beowulf. I was rereading it, and it kind of struck me as a funny notion. What would Beowulf, this big hulking, monster slayer, this guy who just, wakes up in his armor, what would he be like as a kid? And something about that struck me as kind of funny, and it's kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, like I mentioned, my son is 9 years old. He loved reading this because he saw a lot of him. Not that he goes around slaying monsters, so at least doesn't his imagination. But
Right.
he liked it because it's a kid. And I remember my sophomore year was when I had to read Beowulf. And
Okay.
like you, I have been a geek, a comic book geek, a movie geek. I grew up with Star Wars and all that stuff. That's why I do this show.
Right.
And to me, it wasn't boring like some of the other literature that's out there, but it wasn't boring to me at all, because for the same reasons that you mentioned right now. It had monsters, it had dragons, it had a dragon slayer, which was Beowulf. It had Beowulf fighting Grendel, the monsters and all that stuff. Now, like I said, we all know that story. We're familiar with that story, even if it's just the movie that came out a few years ago. But when you started planning the Kid Beowulf story, how did you decide what liberty? Could you take a few liberties with the story? And you kind of have
Right.
to also, because there's not that much stuff on Beowulf anyway. Well, how did you decide what liberties to take with the Beowulf epic?
That's a great question. Well, the biggest liberty is that I took Beowulf and not only made him 12 years old, but I took his arch enemy Grendel and made him his 12-year-old twin brother.
Right.
So that's the biggest twist of the whole series. And with that premise, you kind of have to work backward. At least in the first book, you have to explain, well, how in God's name did these two become twin brothers? So I bring in the sea hag, who is the Grendel's mother from the original epic, and I bring her into the story. I've named her Gertrude, and then I also bring in the dragon into the story. And basically, I'm telling a family saga, how these guys became twin brothers, their relationship to the dragon, who was their grandfather, and in that first book, Kid Beowulf and the Blood-Bound Oath, it sets the stage for the adventures of Beowulf and Grendel across Europe and Asia. So the idea is that they'll go to France, they'll go to Spain, Italy, Greece, and they'll meet all these epic heroes that populate these countries, because every country has its own epic and its own tradition. And Beowulf and Grendel are going to go meet these guys, get into their adventures, and along the way slowly discover their true destiny, that one day they'll have to fight each other. And that's really what the meat of the story is. It's these guys growing up amidst all this action and adventure, only to discover that one day there'll be a confrontation of their own.
Yeah, and being a geek like you, I knew these stories. I read these stories growing up, and then now as an older person now, I've read them. I know the characters and the references that you're making there. But what I liked about reading them with my son was that he got interested in the Beowulf story and in the other characters that were mentioned, and that makes him want to go and read it. Now, they may be a little too heady for him if he picks it up right now at 9 years old.
Right.
But I like the fact that gets him interested in at least knowing that the Beowulf epic is out there.
Well, that's great to hear, because that was one of the things I really wanted to do, is inspire kids who've never read Beowulf, who've never read The Song of Roland or Alcide or any of these epics, and just sort of like give them a taste of what it's all about. And I kind of see these stories as prequels to the events of those epics. So ideally, they would read my book and then they'd want to discover the original to kind of see how the story ends.
Yeah, we're talking to Alexis Fajardo. He is the writer and artist of the Kid Beowulf graphic novel series. Book 1 and 2 are out. Kid Beowulf and the Blood-Bound Oath, that's 1. 2 is Kid Beowulf and the Song of Roland. Book 3 coming pretty soon. And for those of you who have been following the Kid Beowulf on the website, which is up on our book club section, and you can go there directly if you want to, kidbeowulf.com is it. They noticed a little change. I noticed it, and that's in the title. It used to be Versus El Cid, and now it's become And the Rise of El Cid. Why the title change?
That's another great question. So I've been working on this series for a while, and I've had nuggets of story ideas in my little notebook, and I've got 12 books planned. And early on when I was doing the series, I thought, first and foremost, that's just a great title. When it comes to book 3, it's going to be Kid Beowulf versus El Cid, and that just sort of, like, it was a strong title. I liked just the immediate kind of confrontation of it. And as I started to write the book, I slowly discovered that these stories that I had originally kind of jotted down weren't syncing up. The Beowulf story and the El Cid story were happening in the same country, but that confrontation that I thought would happen was just sort of going off in its own direction. So, and which was good. It was actually better for the story. They had their own parallel tracks, but I couldn't actually call the story Kid Beowulf versus El Cid if they don't actually meet, and I didn't want to make that promise to my readers in the title. So I kind of rejiggered it and came up with Kid Beowulf and the Rise of El Cid, and that actually speaks truer to the events of the story. It's really about how this guy Rodrigo Diaz will one day become El Cid and the great Spanish epic hero. And of course, Beowulf and Grendel get thrown in the mix. I don't want to give too much away, but in book 3, they're mistaken for gods, and well, all chaos ensues from that.
Yeah, so it's kind of your Revenge of the Jedi, where they changed the title.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. So for those who have the very first Kid Beowulf versus El Cid postcard, hang on to that, because years from now it's going to be worth something.
Exactly. I'm glad I got mine at A when I met you.
Right.
You started a couple weeks ago a Kickstarter campaign to launch this book. So talk about that.
Yeah, so originally the Kid Beowulf series was published by a Portland-based publisher called Bowler Hat Comics, and I'd signed to do the first trilogy with them, and they took a chance on the title. They kind of gave it a national audience, and unfortunately, during the recession, they didn't have the infrastructure to deal with that. Their parent company imploded and took the imprint with it. So I was sort of 200 pages into the third book, and I had nowhere to publish it. So I basically bought back all the rights from the old publisher, bought the remaining stock of the first 2 books, trying to figure out, how do I get this to the folks that have been waiting? It was going on like a year and a half now, for this third book, and I'd really wanted to see print. And so I kind of looked at Kickstarter. I had friends who had projects that were very successful on Kickstarter, and I figured, well, I'll take a gamble. I'll see if I can raise enough funds to just get this third book out there, and kind of breathe some new life into Kid Beowulf.
When Bowler Hat went away, did you have the story all finished, or was it? Where were you?
I was about at least, I had the whole thing scripted, and in terms of the drawing of it, I had about 150 pages. So 3/4 of the book was done. 75% was in the can, and it was I got to be honest, it was a real blow to discover that these guys I'd been working with and we had a good working relationship, they just kind of imploded, and I really wanted to, as I said, get that third book out, but it took a lot of the momentum away when you discover the people who are going to print it sadly can't anymore. So I had to basically rejigger and refocus and just make sure that I got the rest of the book done, regardless of where I was going to print it. I just wanted to finish the book.
Yeah, I've always said winners find ways to win, and that you're a perfect example of that. I mean, I've gone through it myself with the Geek Speak show. There's been some stations that are ready to sign it, but then at the last second, something happens. Well, we're not ready to go. So I just took it online and did it anyway.
Yeah,
same thing with you. I mean, even if you lost your publisher, that didn't stop you, because now you've got the Kickstarter, and you guys can go on there. I have a link to the Kickstarter page also. With every Kickstarter campaign, though, the biggest thing is the incentives. So what incentives do you have for people who will donate?
Yeah, so I have levels starting at the very basic, entry level of $2, where you get a PDF copy of an excerpt from the first book, full color, 8 pages. And I have ranges from $5 to $10, different increments where you can get PDF copies of the book, and then they slowly go up. And You can get hard copies of the first 2 books. The third book, Kid Beowulf and the Rise of Belcede, goes for $25. It includes shipping. You also get the PDF for that, because I know some folks like to read their comics on their iPads or Kindles. So I tried to make every level as accessible as possible. I have a level for teachers and librarians who have been great supporters of my work. So I sort of offer a discount of the books that way. And I have these really cool kind of upper tier levels where if you're an Uber fan and you like your Kid Beowulf in 3D, I have these Kid Beowulf limited edition sculpts of Hama the Pig, Beowulf, and Grendel. And you can get them individually, and they also fit in a sort of a tri-hold rock base, so they can have like a little diorama of the trio. And that was something I kind of put together for fun years ago. You may have seen it at Ape.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember them from Ape.
Yeah, and it was really just kind of a fun little lark to see if I could get my characters in 3D, and now I'm going to offer them as pledge rewards for folks out there who want Kid B in 3D.
Yeah, and actually, you brought up a point that I didn't even think about. But have you made it available to public libraries?
Yeah, it's actually won some library awards, the first book, and it's gotten some good notices in the school library journal. I make a regular point to attend the American Library Association, the annual conference, whenever I can. So in terms of people who enjoy Kid Beowulf, teachers and librarians and students and even college professors have all given it the thumbs up. Now it's sort of, I have to convince publishers and a whole new fan base that it's worth their time too.
You ought to do it, or you should have us go there and film the thing and then send them. Hey, look at all the people how they respond to this stuff. So
right,
that's how we do it for the Geek Speak show, at least. So Alexis Fajardo is going to be at the Charles M. Schultz Museum this weekend, November 18th, for something pretty special, pretty cool. Tell us about that.
So this weekend on the 18th, it is Schultz's birthday. And if you happen to be in Santa Rosa or the Bay Area, you should drive on up, because it's free admission for everyone. You can walk through the door and get ensconced in peanuts in this great museum. And I will be a part of that event. I'll be doing a sketchathon from 1 to 3, telling folks about Kid Beowulf, giving out cards, and I'm going to be doing free sketches as well. So be sure to come on down, and you can check out the Kickstarter for yourself, ask me any questions you may have, and get a free sketch in the process.
And if they already have the book, will you sign it for them if they ask you to?
Oh, I will. If they have the book, I will happily sign it for them. Yes, that'd be wonderful.
So there you go. If you have the books 1, 2, or 1 and 2, go ahead, bring it with you. He'll sign it for you, and you'll find out a little bit more about book number 3. So this obviously has kept you pretty busy, book number 3. Once it's done, it's finally published, hopefully through the Kickstarter. You have any plans for anything else beyond Kid Beowulf, or maybe more Kid Beowulf?
Well, yeah, in my notebook that I mentioned earlier, I've got 12 books in the Kid Beowulf mythos that I have planned. So the third book, Kid Beowulf and the Rise of Belcede, is very much the bridge book between the first trilogy and the start of the second trilogy. And I'm really hoping that the Kickstarter funds so I can continue to do these books, because as I said, it's really the journey of Beowulf and Grendel growing up amongst all these other mythological heroes, and discovering that one day they have to fight each other. So it has a little bit of that great Avatar: The Last Airbender vibe to it, where you sort of that self-discovery, and I also try and throw in as much good old-fashioned Asterix/Tintin cartooning into the mix as well. So if that's what you like in your comics, then I think you'd like Kid Beowulf.
Yeah, and I haven't just read them. I can say not only through my son enjoying it, but me myself, I like because it does have a little bit of everything. It's got it's got the historic characters that we all know, but it's also got some comedy, and even a little bit of slapstick in there with some of the other, not always Beowulf and Grendel, but some of the other characters too. So like I said, it's got a little bit of everything for everybody in there.
Well, that's great to hear. I when you're stuck in your studio day and night, just drawing and penciling and inking, you're never sure what the response is to your work. So it's always nice to sort of come out of your cave and get the book out there and to hear that it resonates with people. So I'm glad you like the slapstick in there too. I try and do as much of that as I can.
Yeah, it is fun. My kids, both of them, my daughter who's 5, she also enjoys those parts too. So it's Alexis Fajardo. He's the writer, the artist of the Kid Beowulf graphic novels series. Book 1 and 2 are out. I have them here. I read them. Those are my picks for the book club. The last one for 2012. Book 1, Kid Beowulf and the Bloodbound Oath. Book 2, Kid Beowulf and the Song of Roland. Book 3, coming soon with your help. Go to the Kickstarter page. It's up on our book club section. You can donate on there, get some of the perks, and just support him in everything he does. It's pretty cool. And Alexis, you are welcome back anytime on the Geek Speak Show.
Thank you so much, Henry. I really appreciate it.
So that's my guy. Who wants to go first?
I
Rachel.
do.
Okay, Jay, you go first.
As some of you may know, listening out there in Geek World, November, the month that we're in right now, is National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo, as the kids call it.
Say that fast 5 times.
NaNoWriMo, 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 NaNoWriMo.
Oh my God, NaNoWriMo's here.
And so I brought in a book that has been hugely helpful in my life, and it's got a long title, so bear with me. Writing and Illustrating the Graphic Novel, All New Edition, Everything You Need to Know to Create Great Work and Get It Published by Daniel Cooney. This is the 2nd or 3rd edition.
Oh, we know Dan Cooney. He's a friend of the show.
Well, he's a sweetheart.
See that Spidey up there?
Uh-huh.
Guess who drew it?
Dan Cooney.
Exactly.
Yeah, I recognize his style, actually. There's a lot of great illustrations in the book that he did, and there's examples that he can give of different types of scripts of what...
You lost Joel, though? Seriously? You lost Joel right when you mentioned the title? Because it's too much reading.
What are you guys talking about?
But there's lots of great pictures. There's great pictures, Joel. I think there's some boobies in here. You might like it.
Oh, let me see that book.
Give me that book.
But it is informative. It's not just your how to draw certain types of stories, or how to solicit your stories to the right people, or how to get a job at one of the big 2 or big 3. It's how to do it from scratch if you want to self-publish, if you want to publish independently, if you want to publish with one of the big publishing houses. It will tell you the steps that you need to take, the research that you need to do, and the people that you need to know, basically. And it's written in a fun, easy to understand way. It's very streamlined. I've read a lot of other how-to books on writing, and I've been waiting basically my whole life for this specific version for
so
how
even
to...
Joel might read it?
I've been waiting for a book like you.
I think that if you are interested in comics, if you are interested in publishing, if you are interested in a funny, great story, a success story, then it's the book for you. And if you're trying to write any kind of book, that's great character building steps in the first couple of chapters. So happy NaNoWriMo, and good luck getting the word count up.
So let's stick with the ladies. Joel, what do you have?
For this week's book club, I'm bringing back a sort of forgotten chapter of 1990s Marvel action.
You should stop teasing Joel, huh?
Yeah.
Nah. Maybe next year. It'll be our New Year's resolution.
Which lasts for what, about a day?
You guys have to be scumbags for the rest of the year, so that way, when New Year's comes, you have a resolution.
Scruffy looking?
I have a stash this year. Right.
Joel's pretty.
Told you people, I'm back. Star Wars is back in me.
Anyway, so my choice is the New Fantastic Four, which is published in 1990, written by Walt Simonson and drawn by Arthur Adams. It takes place in the Fantastic Four issues 347 to 349, but I'm using the trade paperback from 1992. I was actually 4 when this came out, and then I remember my brother got it for his 7th birthday, and there's this comic shop called Fantasy Comics in South City. It's closed now. Closed years ago. Anyways, the new
what happens when you don't read? Shops closed down.
Yeah. So the New Fantastic Four, it's a simple story, really. Just Skrulls infiltrating, Mole Man just being pissy about the surface dwellers, and in the end, the heroes, open a can of proverbial whoop-ass. But I'm recommending it because it was such a tight lineup. When the original Fantastic Four...
Because it has cool pictures.
Cool pictures. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Man Thing, and the Human Flamer, they eventually get taken out one by one, and Wolverine, Hulk, Spider-Man, and wait for it, Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider!
Team up to take on the Perps.
I thought that was Wolverine.
Wolverine and Ghost Rider have the same voice.
They have the same voice. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not the
And
classic.
Batman.
Definitely not the classic ragtag team because they have so much firepower. One might even say, "Hello, ponage." I mean, we got Wolverine lighting cigars off Ghost Rider's head. We have Gray Hulk, who's as smart as Spider-Man. Yes, I said Hulk, but in gray form. And I don't think any race of aliens, legal or illegal, can ever take on a team with a Hulk. And then in the end, when Thing and Hulk start fighting side by side,
spoilers, it's
overkill. And so it's like, I don't know, it's the perfect team that when looking back at it, it kind of sucks in a way because, you know, more than 20 years have passed since this story is published, and, you know, we haven't seen any reincarnation of this badassness.
Badassitude.
Easy for him to say.
So for any Marvel fan, there's a lot you're gonna like in this one. Lots of action, lots of character team ups, and also some sexuality. Jay,
give me that book.
That's why he likes.
I did pick up some sexual vibes between Johnny's ex-wife Alicia and Ben Grimm, and then there's this scroll disguised
I
as
thought
Sue.
you meant between Spider-Man and Grey Hulk.
And then it was weird because Ben Grimm and Thing, like, this was at a time when the two entities had separated from each other, and they'd call each other sweetie and honey. And
Okay, I'm back on board.
And it took me a while to realize what was going on. And then in the end, there's this really funny panel of Reed serving a clean jab to Skrull Sue's face that can easily be taken out of context. Really, though, this era was a crazy time in comic
Especially with
history,
this crew.
and it needs a look over. Oddly enough, it's like none of it ever happened. So check it out, download it legally, illegally, go to the library and borrow it, read it at a bookstore, put it down, and don't buy it. Or you could be like me, hunt down all the first original printings, put them away in a box, and move on to Rachel.
Okay, well, I'm not going to suggest illegally reading this, but I am going to tell you that you can get it on Amazon for $75, which I know seems like a lot, but it's actually a good price because I'm talking about, of course, the complete Star Wars encyclopedia. Why did I choose this? I think you all know. Because in the new movies, we need to make sure that we're following Star Wars universe.
We got to make sure.
Rewriting everything. So there's 3 books in this beautiful box set, and it has everything: planets, people, machines, lightsabers, all the cool stuff. And you should brush up on it because as they start releasing more information about the new movies, then maybe we can figure out kind of where the storyline's going to go or where it's going to be set at, and it's going to be amazing. This one is the black and white one with a red stripe around it by Steve Sansweet, Pablo Hidalgo, Bob Vitas, and Daniel Wallace. So make sure you get it because you're going to need it in the near future.
Will it teach you how to build your own lightsaber from scratch?
A good book it is.
No, the Jedi Council does that.
I made a video on how to do that. So if you'd like it, I'll send it to you.
I would like it. Thank you. You have my email address.
Yes, I do.
My email address you have. That
reminds me, though, speaking of Steve Sansweet, I mentioned it last week. He was going to come on, but we're going to hold it till early next year because this is the last show for 2012. Early next year. We're also going to have the guys who host Forcecast, all of you, one of the most popular ones, the official podcast for the Force.net. They're really cool guys. They really liked our show and said, yeah, we'll do a whole show with you guys. So we're going to save that to next year. We'll have a little bit more information, obviously, on what's happening with the Dark, like we mentioned, the Dark Horse, whether they're going to keep the license or what's going to happen with that. We'll know what's going to happen with the Clone Wars. Does it stay at Cartoon Network or go to Disney XD? We'll know more, obviously. Hopefully, we have a writer. Hopefully, we'll have a director, maybe returning actors or new actors, maybe a title for episode 7.
Ooh.
We'll see. So we'll talk about all that stuff. Steve Sansweet obviously is in the know. I always call him the ultimate fan. Really, Rachel, I'm sure you've met him at some conventions. He's one of the really cool guys.
Oh, yes. He's actually a friend of mine. I've been to the ranch, and he's amazing.
Yeah, he really is one of us, a real fan. He started as a fan, and now he's, like I call him, the ultimate fan. So they'll come on early next year. So, like I said, Star Wars is here. It's back. It's not going anywhere.
That's the Geek Speak Show Book Club. Tell us what your favorite books or graphic novels are. Books at thegeekspeakshow.com.
So that is the last book club for 2012. Big shock. Joel picked a book with no words. Well, a few words.
Just a few.
And
mostly
a lot of
pictures.
drawings.
Couple.
Yeah, so again, that'll stay. That'll come back next year. All of us will come back next year. Maybe we'll have some new voices, some new features, some new things to talk about. We'll definitely, like I said, I've been saying all show since last week. Also, a lot of Star Wars, a lot of Star Wars news is going to come out. A lot of Star Wars. Even if it doesn't, Rachel will make sure we talk Star Wars, right?
Yep, I will. Don't worry, I got you guys.
Next year.
And don't forget, leading up to next year, scroll down from where you're listening to the show right now. Big old picture of Yaya Han, the 2013 cosplay calendar. 2 of you will be lucky enough to get a free autographed, not just the calendar, but autographed by Yaya Han calendar if you sign up for our newsletter. I'll send one in early in December, just letting you know, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Birthday if your birthday happens to fall in there, and let you know what's happening, when we're coming back, who's going to be on there. Once 2013 gets here, if December 21st isn't the end, once 2013 does get here, it's not going to be a weekly thing. I'm not going to inundate your email inboxes with a bunch of junk stuff. You'll get one like maybe once a month, twice a month if there's something special, really special going on.
You'll get some spam from me.
I'll tell you guys about our con coverage. I do know what's happening with WonderCon. I'm not going to say it. Hasn't been made public yet, but I do know what's going to happen with WonderCon. Pretty big announcement. It'll come soon. We're going to cover it, of course, like we always do. So it'll be on there what's going to be happening. Maybe passes for you guys to go to WonderCon. Image Expo, yes. Todd McFarlane said during the interview, I hope it doesn't take another 20 years for Image Expo 2. It's not. It is coming back to Oakland next year. We'll talk about that also.
Oakland. I want to go to
You'll
there.
also know who's coming on the show. What are we going to talk about besides Star Wars? Who else are we going to talk about? What guests are going to be on here? What features, if any, are going to be on here? Suggest your own. It'll just be another way for you guys to connect with us besides the Twitter, the Facebook, all that stuff. We're social here.
We're social.
And if you're a geek out there that has a book or a comic or something that you need to promote, an independent film, then you can email us, you can call us, you can come on the show.
Hell yeah.
It's okay. We like you people.
Show.
And not only that, good point, Jay. Not only that, you can literally come on the show and literally show us, because we're going to do the video show. It's going to become more of a regular thing also in 2013.
Awesome.
So there's going to be 2 versions. There's going to be the audio show and the video show. And I'm going to tell you guys now, we were going to have a powwow in the coming weeks. I'll let you and the listeners in on what we're going to do. It's going to be different. It's not going to be just, we do the video show and then we take the audio from that, and that'll be the weekly show. Weekly show will be kind of what it is now. We'll have guests like, the directors like Paul W.S. Anderson, and we had the guy from Silent Hill, and all those people. We'll still have that. The visual ones, like Help I'm Alive, or like cosplayers like Yaya Han, where you actually need to see the thing and not we can describe it, but it's not the same as
it looks gorgeous.
That's who you'll see on the video show. And we'll do, cover things like Winchester Mystery House and go on location. Our convention coverage will be part of the video shows. We'll incorporate interviews, all that. So that's the fun. 2013 can't get here soon enough. 2015 for Rachel and me can't get here soon enough either.
If there's going to be a next year.
So that's it. We'll see you. I suck at math. How many weeks till 2013? Yeah, they suck at math.
Yeah.
6?
Yeah, you're talking to a bunch of geeks here. We don't do math. Okay.
Whenever, come on back. Not next week. Next year, we'll speak more geek.
If there is a next year.
The Geek Speak Show will be back next week with a brand new episode. In the meantime, follow them on Twitter at Geek Speak Show 1. That's the number 1. Become a fan on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes. Watch special event coverage and the Geek Speak video show on YouTube/Geek Speak Videos. And listen to past shows in the archive section on thegeekspeakshow.com. A big thank you to the Geek Speak Show's content providers, GeekTyrant.com, Collider.com, RamaScreen.com, and MightyVille.com. The Geek Speak Show. They're fighting about it. Before we really end, don't forget December 1st, our award show. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we shouldn't even have it. Everything should just go to the Avengers now. But Jay says no. Well, you find out. If you
Cloud
agree with
Atlas,
Jay,
bitches.
Come on back December 1st and find out who gets a Geek Speak Show award. It's an actual award, too. We'll see you then. Bye.